All right, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. That was a fun new intro style that I've been bored and wanting to try out. And the man laughing on the other end, because I can get away with it with him, is fellow much longer podcaster, much bigger influencer in the podcasting world, Chuck Wood. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks.
And did you get my email earlier?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm behind on email.
Well, that's okay.
I'm behind.
So, all right, here's something fun. Let's just we're going to, ladies and gentlemen, real quick. Again, topenddevs.com is his website. Chuck's a big, we started a new thing. We're just going to check in monthly. Well, actually, we've been checking in monthly, if not weekly, if not bi-weekly for years, because part of our background is being authoring, not co-authoring, but offering books separately, but together and all this fun stuff. But one thing I've literally grown to appreciate about Chuck is random technical things that we get to figure out together. So before I get on Zoom, which literally just happened, and he just accidentally taught me a couple things that actually you and I might have just figured that out together. Do you use Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta know. Has there been a weird thing lately where when you go to hit send and the browser just doesn't send it, and then it gets stuck in your drafts and you don't know it?
I haven't experienced that lately. I know that it does actually delay sending for a few minutes. I
know they're doing that new thing where, you fat fingered it and that they want you to give you the option of backing it out.
Yeah, you can suck it back. Yeah.
Right. Which in my old IT world, we had dedicated email servers. And when you played around in Microsoft Office, you always were able to recall an email, which is great. Gmail world, they never allowed that. I get why they did it. And it works great from your iPhone. But I think I found the flaw. Because this has been going on for probably 3 weeks, probably since we last chatted. And I noticed it again today because I aired one of our last podcasts. Actually, it was your Amsterdam podcast. And then we've got the follow-up from your return from Amsterdam. So while you and I are recording this, that'll go out in the next week. So by the time this one airs, both pre-Amsterdam and post-Amsterdam trip will be up. So for those listeners, go back and listen to those episodes with Chuck. But the funny thing was, I sent that days ago. And
oh, that's funny.
I got back and I haven't moved. Actually, I have not taken my laptop with me for the past couple of days. I had a lot of very in-person meetings, and sometimes I don't like having my laptop in them. So I was like, let me just leave it here, let the system do its updates and everything else. Because unlike you, I live in the Windows world, and you're the big Mac world guy. Anyway, I came back and I noticed that the browser just needed to be refreshed. So I click on the inbox and it didn't want to refresh. So I just hit refresh on the browser. I use Brave right now. And all of a sudden I see an email sitting in my @livethefuel.com inbox in the drafts. I'm like, I don't keep drafts in there. And sure enough, I go in there and it's the email to you announcing you the release of the podcast that I sent many days ago. And I was like, well, that's great. Chuck never got it. So I just sent it. And
yep, it's there now. Came in an hour ago.
Well, so that's my new sorry. This has been going on for weeks. I have many Gmail accounts. My other client, the sales rep firm in the HVAC industry, where most of my time is spent, it's been going on for weeks. I'll catch it while I'm in front of the computer. Like I hit send and the browser just sits there and thinks. And then it locks the whole browser up. And then I have to click refresh on the browser.
Oh, man.
And then the email defaults into the drafts folder.
Right.
So it's like, what? So, okay, once, twice. Okay. This has been going on almost a month. And now I've confirmed it's not just, her company's name is Sales Management Solutions. So it's not just them. Now so I've definitely replicated it now in other worlds. It's in my podcast world. Completely separate account. Now, both back ends of those custom domained email accounts are Gmail based. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's easy. It's simple. There's your business tip of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Because I just had that conversation with one of my contractor buddies who called me right before this call, Chuck, he goes, hey, I'm going to rebrand my company. You hooked up our boy Brian last year. Can you give me some love? And I was like, yeah, sales, marketing, branding, strategy, execution. I love it. I'm happy to help you out.
Right.
This dude just helped me rip out our old school baseboard heaters, along the floor, redid all the custom molding and fixed my wood flooring. The guy's a genius. I was like, yeah, dude. All right. Happy to help you. But that aside, I was like, hey, I know you bought a new domain name. You're going to launch a new website. I was like, he's like, yeah, I had to leave that email anyway. It was full of spam and everything else. I was like, you were using webmail, weren't you? And he goes, what does that mean? And I said, were you using the mail that came with the website? Because I know you bought a cookie cutter website off of like a generic hosting platform like Bluehost or whatever. And he goes, right. Yeah. And I was like, well, there's your problem. He goes, why? It's a trusted hosting company. I said, and Chuck, you can chime in on this as your expertise and background. I know you're more on the development side, but I was like, dude, in my experience, unless you control your own mail server, which most small businesses would never do to that level, web mail on your host sucks. I just know the better. There's just, I mean, I don't know. Is there any other better way to say it? I mean, years ago, guaranteed to get way more spam, way more noise in your inbox. My own wife.
Oh yeah.
Well, she wasn't my wife yet, but when we started dating, she's like, hey, do you know how to fix that? And I said, yeah, what other problems do you have? She's like, well, I'd love to have us, because my wife's a veterinarian doctor. And she's like, it'd be great if we could see each other's calendars and share calendars. I'm like, well, you could always go into the Microsoft thing. And she goes, no, we love Apple. I'm like, okay. I was like, so all right, I'll just move your domain into a custom domain Gmail account profile. We'll set up Dr. Kristen at and Dr. Alicia at and Dr. Tara at and blah, blah, blah. And then we'll share calendars, because you can do that in Google G Suite. And she goes, oh, well, that sounds amazing. That's a few years ago now.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, all the spam was gone. Right.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Is there accuracy to what I'm boasting?
Yes, and I'm not going to go into all of the technical reasons why. Google has a pretty robust spam detection system.
Well, I mean, they invented Gmail, for God's sakes. I think they might have some decent settings in their mail server technology. I don't know.
Yeah, but mail servers on their own are pretty stupid. And so it's the stuff that you build on top of it, right? And so they've built this application layer on top of it that sorts it all.
Okay.
And at this point, so they have two advantages. One is that they've been doing this for a really, really long time. And so they've gotten pretty good just on their own of, building algorithms and say that looks like spam. But the other thing is that now we're getting into the age where you have machine learning. And
let's pause on that. Machine learning, aka, are we tying that to AI? I mean,
machine learning is it is and it isn't. For most people, it's the same thing.
Okay.
To lay people, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So anyway, what it is you take this giant data model and you train it against these systems that build basically mathematical formulas that replicate the result you want, right?
Like old school supercomputers, right? They were designed to be like super number crunchers. I mean, like the giant, remember the old giant cabinets and I'm going way back.
But this is all in software. So effectively what you do is you set up your system and then you feed it in and you say, here's an email, it's spam. Here's another email, it's spam. Here's an email, it's not spam. Right. And you send millions and billions of emails through
to teach it.
Right. And then what happens is when you send an email that you don't know, it can come back and it can say, this is 90% chance it's spam. Right. So then you just have to decide how sensitive you want to be. And the more you train it, the better it gets.
Okay.
Typically.
So Google's done that with a great, as way you described it, an overlying or overlayer of an application That's what makes them different than a lot of companies trying to do their own hosted mail server environments. Is
Right.
they're missing that layer of intelligence.
Right. But the thing that Google has that they don't isn't the capability of doing machine learning. And machine learning is just, I trained the system and now I can use it for my own stuff. The difference is that Google has the benefit of owning Gmail.
Right.
And so anything you've marked as spam, they
learned.
can push into they can train it on that.
So
and
thanks
you
to
and
their-
the rest of the world, right? And so
Yeah.
they have billions and billions and billions of emails that they can put into this system and have it come out and do a very good job
Yeah.
of saying, this is spam, this isn't.
Well, it's like the fake. Oh God, it's still popular. The fake masked. Win a Yeti cooler from Dick's Sporting Goods, but it's not from Dick's Sporting Goods. It's straight up spam. I only know because once a
Right.
month I have a reminder in my calendar to go into my Gmail accounts, click on the junk folder, and just see the crazy noise that's in there, and then do select all and delete. You know, it's just a weird OCD thing of mine. Like I can't go into my inbox and see 500 or greater pieces of mail sitting in junk anymore, because what if there was something important in there?
Right.
So now once a month, my best practice is I just go in, boom, boom, boom. I queue up all the accounts on my monitors, click on junk on all of them, and just scroll through real quick. And like my charity account might have like 20, right? But my podcast account, that's LiveTheFuel.com, has been around longer.
Yeah.
You know, that's got like a few hundred. My personal one definitely has a lot. And then my other client, you know, because my clients set me up with my own account within their organization, they're pretty quiet. But it's always the common stuff. You could see those common threads. What's the current spammy thing, you know, going on?
Yeah.
To your point. So that's me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 different Gmail accounts logged in on my iPhone. So, and again, the only one that's actually quote, air quote, Gmail is my personal one, right? On the front end, they're all custom domained emails because, again, that was the thing I gave my buddy the tip on today. He had no idea you could do that. I said, yeah, I do it to all my small business clients. I'm like, you pay, I think the going rate is still $6. Actually,
Something like that.
Be careful. Google, when you first, again, here's the quick lesson on that, ladies and gentlemen. You buy your .com off of GoDaddy, whoever you want, or whatever the new thing is now, .co, .me, .biz, whatever domain you decide to go with, now you own your own domain name. So please, for the life of you, do not then go spend money on a business card and or online presence and have your business name at gmail.com. It drives me. You know, Chuck, if you want to learn another side of me, if you want to find a way to set Scott off, there it is. I actually, no joke, on Friday, you like charity work, don't you? You're a very religious family. You guys give back.
Yeah.
So an annual charity event that we just started a few years ago, golf. I have no problem telling you I suck at it, but I will show up and figure it out every single year-ish. And so I sponsor a hole. My wife's veterinary business, because it's a local charity event. She sponsors a hole. Actually, this year I did something different because they put those. Do you ever go to a golfing event?
Not like that, no.
But you ever see like a hole sponsor? They get It's like all the well, you've been in politics, so the plastic corrugated signs you get on the little metal thingies you stick. So they have, each hole has one of those signs. So you go through, you get to see all different businesses sponsoring in case you didn't pay attention to the flyer when you first started the event.
Right.
I get to this hole. Chuck. I lost it. Everybody in that foursome, whether they realized it or not, knew that I was a branding guy as soon as I got to that hole. Because we didn't have that conversation yet. I literally walked up and I took a selfie next to it because I'm going to use it in an educational course.
Right.
The last 2 podcasts you and I have talked about was your online course building and everything else, to tie it back to you. Okay. It was I have to look it up on my phone. I think she was some type of dude, real estate. She was a realtor. At yahoo.com was the email address she put on the sign.
Oh, yeah. There's a podcast I listen to. It's a triathlon podcast, and every single episode they end it the same way, and both guys go. And I think one of them's like, C23 something something at gmail.com.
Oh, right? That's even worse.
They've got this awesome brand for their podcast, and the podcast is hosted at a domain. And I've been tempted to email them and say, guys, you're making me really sad. Because it's not even C23 something something triathlon.
Is that the name of the business? C23?
Yeah, something like that.
So what is C23?
Well, that's my point. Is nobody's going to look at it and go, C23, I bet they teach people how to do triathlons.
I mean, there's a 3 in there, and 3 symbolizes try. I got that part. I don't know where the C and the 2 comes in, or 23. Right. Do they have 20 people doing the try training?
It makes me hurt, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, you've got this great brand. You've got this podcast that I'm sure a whole bunch of people listen to.
Oh my God.
And you could just say, hey, look, it's Mike or whatever his name is at crushingiron.com, right?
Or have fun with it, right? Like, so obviously I publicize it now. Live the Fuel. It's Scott at livethefuel.com. And then I did have podcast at livethefuel.com, which I think I'm actually still paying for. I should probably check on that. I'm really bad at that stuff. But because my old VA team, I had everything going to that box for them. And then I changed up my process, because you're a big VA guy. Translation for the newer listeners, virtual assistants. But yeah, it's like, okay, like something, the most simple thing you could do for a business, info@yourbusiness.com. Like, for example, my wife's veterinary business is info at my main sales firm client, sales at, okay, right?
But you set it up as an alias in Gmail, and then you filter it.
Let's not get fancy. I agree with you on that too.
So it goes into a folder.
You don't need to pay for multiple accounts. You could do aliases. Okay, we're getting a little fancy. Let's just, for now, for this one, let's just keep it simple. But it was like her name and then some numbers, like probably her birth date, hello 20 years ago. My old personal, I killed that account so I could say it. My old personal email from, God, I mean, over 20 years ago, Scott0921irish@yahoo.com. Clearly Scott is my name. 0921. I'm born on September 21st. Irish.
Right.
My name is Scott William Mulvaney. Clearly I might have some Irish in my bloodline. And then you take a business class, or you start moving up in the business world, and you realize, well, that's just a silly. And again, people may hear this and be like, are they making fun of my birthday name email? I'm like, listen, you want to keep that for your personal stuff, you do you.
Yeah.
Once you go pro, or you have goals to become a pro in whatever it is you're trying to do, just something as simple as that change, right? It's different. You automatically level yourself up over everybody else doing at Yahoo, at Gmail, or at MSN, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, guys, again, in the Google world, if you're using your custom domain name overlap, the going rate is, I think I pay $6 a month.
It's something like that.
It's not, if you want more robust features, you pay for the higher business class is $12.
And I think I pay another $25 to have extra storage on Google Drive.
Well, see, that's different. So I pay for a terabyte of space. That's a game changer, right? I pay a terabyte a year. It's $100. $100. Like, there's nothing important on this laptop. Somebody steals this as an airport, I am completely cloud-based, dude. I'm good. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I just never expected to rant about that today. And then with your email announcement not coming, because I'm like, great. Is there something else broken? And it's I'm thinking it's maybe that whole delayed response thing to allow you to recall the email, because it doesn't do that for my iPhone. Everything I send from the iPhone sends instantaneously. And then obviously in the app, it pops up saying, do you want to, was it cancel? What are they calling it? Cancel send,
but
something like that.
But it goes through a different process.
Yeah. But in the browser,
so the process is broken in the browser, but not on your iPhone.
Yeah. And I've been testing it. It's almost every single time now. I did 2 more trial tests tonight before hopping on. I'm like, okay, there's something going on. I don't know. I mean, everything I have is up to date. The Brave updates are done. There's no updates to run in Gmail, so can't be that. So I was like, man, technical things.
Oh yeah. Well, I ran into this too. I'm trying to decide if I want to badmouth the brand that screwed it up, but
You could say
back in
Phantom.
March.
You could say Phantom. Look ghostly.
Yeah. So in March, I switched CRMs to reach out to. That's a customer relation manager for people who are not using them.
Yes.
You do sales, so you know.
Oh yeah, my client. Yeah, we are very robustly invested into Salesforce, which is
right.
billion-dollar company. Great application. Actually, and my wife, after all these years, she's very upset because they finally committed to something I told them to do 3 years ago. But I'm not going to get any credit for it. They bought, that's what you're married.
Uh-huh.
They finally invested in a veterinary CRM, an application to help them streamline their billing, streamline their invoicing, get dude, each doctor bills differently.
Uh-huh.
They're all under all points equine. My wife is the co-founder. I'm like, you bill a different service differently than your co-founder. There's no consistency.
Yeah.
So if another doctor has to fill in while you're on vacation and then it's billed differently, now they're like, wait a minute, is so-and-so ripping me off and all these things?
Right.
Like, oh my God.
But the issue that I had was, so this CRM, it did a bunch of stuff. I could cancel like 4 or 5 services because it all consolidated it, right? And I was super excited. I start using it and it seemed okay, but the email deliverability was in the toilet.
That's not good.
And so they're like, hey, look, we have this tech expert that will go in and fix it for you. And so I paid the extra to have the guy come in and fix it for me, right? Okay. And so he comes in and fixes it, and the deliverability gets better. It's not where it was using the other system, but it wasn't so bad that I just threw up my hands in disgust and walked away. And so
you're a high-tech guy, so I could see you, just like I lost my patience on today's podcast with that at the golf event, I could see you reacting to a poor design or poor software program.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is it's like, it's not rocket science. And I kind of understand email deliverability, but I'm not an expert and I don't want to be, right?
It's not your niche. Yeah.
So anyway, we're clicking along and I get this email at the end of June and it says, hey, look, your email deliverability is poor enough that it's affecting our servers, right? What? Because part of them figuring out if it's spam, part of Google or whatever, right, one of the things they look at is which server it came from. Mm-hmm. And so if you're sending out a lot of emails that are bouncing or whatever, then it lowers the score for the server.
Yes.
That's about the depth of my understanding of that.
I agree with that. That's why they've developed things like whitelisting versus blacklisting and to help clean some of that up.
Yeah. So what companies that really care about this do is, a lot of times they'll go to the customer that's causing the problem and they'll say, you have to fix it. Mm-hmm. But the other thing they do is they typically come in and say, here's how you fix it.
Yeah. Like, for example, I use Aweber for my email marketing. They're very adamant about very clean. Like they won't let porn companies come in or any of that stuff.
Right.
So they want to clean, like you just said, clean servers, clean communication. And some of the biggest tips they always send out is, please every so often go back into your email list. And if people keep they're not opening your emails, like your open rate for that one account, is that just take them off, unsubscribe.
Yeah. Well, that helps your domain
Yep.
ranking. So the score on your domain, and it helps the score on the server. So it does both. Exactly. Yeah, so they come to me and they say, hey, these aren't getting delivered. And the thing is I've been using CRMs for years to do this, and nobody else has ever had a problem. It's just them. But I'm like, okay, what are we doing differently, right? That, is causing this problem. And I get nothing. And so then I email them again and I still get nothing. And then I get another email from them and they say, hey, we warned you once. It's still a problem.
Wait, who's warning you?
The people that work at the CRM company.
The CRM company's blaming you.
Yeah.
But okay.
So I'm going, okay, well, and so I turned off some of the campaigns that it was sending out and, try to clean them up and see what I could do to fix that and all that stuff. And then I got a third email and they said, "Hey, we're just shutting off your ability to send emails." And
Then what's the
you
point of having a CRM?
right?
Right.
Right?
Like, hello.
So the CRM, the job of the CRM is to keep track of how you've communicated with your customers and to manage the communication to your customers.
Yes. Key
And
word
so if
is
you can't-
C is for customer or communication.
Right.
For example, some people call it a communication resolution, management, CRM, right? People have a different definition of the acronym. So
the last 2 weeks I've been cramming to get this stuff done for my contract because they wanted it done by the end of July, and that didn't happen. I'm really close, but it didn't happen.
Wow.
And it was just because they added some things last minute, and I'm just like, all right, well, but then the rest of my time I've been working on trying to migrate everything back off of the CRM, because it's not just the outreach to the customers, but if somebody schedules a podcast episode, it has a campaign in there that says, "Hey, thanks for scheduling. Here's a link to, prep documents. Hey, here's some things you might want to look at in order to be ready to go. Here's how you actually get on the call." None of those go out because it all goes out through the same email system. Right. And so it kills the calendaring, it kills the invoicing, it kills everything.
So it sounds like,
my gosh,
the integration failure is really more on their end. I mean, is what I'm hearing.
And so I keep reaching out to them. Hey, can we fix this? And finally I was just like, you know what?
Well, let me guess. You had at least one or two other choices to go with. This was just the one that seemed to work. I remember because you said it back in March, right? Yeah. So this was back when you were relaunching a whole new funnel design, right, for your courses and everything else.
Yeah.
And this was
I took some time away to get this rolling because it simplified a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But the problem is if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
No. I mean,
so
some of the most basic things you need to run a business: one, answer the phone and or call the person back who left a voicemail. Okay, that's one. If you're more high tech, like you're referring to, okay, one, you need to get the email so you can even reply to it or follow up on it as well. So it's like, okay, at least get me the emails. That'd be great. So
So for the calendaring stuff, I just went back to Schedule Once or Once Hub.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I had shut off the billing and I tried to figure out how to cancel my account and I couldn't, but they weren't going to charge me anymore. So I left it there. And thank heaven, I just went in and I just turned it all back on. Started the billing up again, just turned the old system back
Schedule
on.
Once?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So that saved me a bunch of effort.
I tried them back in the beginning of the podcast, and then I had the founder of Acuity scheduling on. And then he moved from DC to here in Pennsylvania, but I'd already done a show with them, and I really loved their footprint. I loved their design. I loved their pricing. So, I mean, again, Schedule Once is great too. I just ended up switching over to Acuity and loved it. So,
So, I moved the CRM stuff, and I'm still working on migrating it, but I'm migrating it into ZOHO CRM.
ZOHO.
And so,
is that a specific niche, like in your industry, or is it kind of widespread? Okay,
it's a wide open CRM.
Cool.
Which is nice because I can run the sales through it and I can run the podcast through it, and I can. You're right. So I'm not locked into a model that doesn't work for some piece of my business. I can set up separate pipelines and the whole nine yards.
Well, that's part of this like fun little segue towards the end of the show here for this our new format, right? The shorter info here is that hit hard, hit fast, but make sure people understand that. It's like, again, CRMs are not just for big corporations. Like my client, the SMS team, with including me, it's for people.
Right.
That's it. So
the direction
her
I was
company
heading
covers
with this,
Delaware to Maine. I mean, it's but that communication is key. So she's just willing to invest in Salesforce because she just loved how turnkey was. But dude, even the money you spend for Salesforce, and I don't know if you ever worked with it, but like years ago, she's a smart cookie. She started figuring out, in their world, they call it custom built objects within your CRM. Right. And there were certain protocols and certain ways she wanted the system to work, and they'll customize it, but then you got to pay them to do it. And like
that was my issue with
her
Salesforce
one object
is
$10,000
getting it to do what I wanted.
Yeah. They wanted to charge her $10,000 to build this one object. She figured out how to do it in 2 weeks and built it herself.
Yep. Right. But there were enough moving pieces in Salesforce that it was just anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the issue was like the calendaring piece. I could basically sign up for ZOHO One, which incorporates all of their apps. You just add them to your system, and the cost doesn't go up. And so I like that. And they have a calendar app, but it had the same problem that Acuity had, in that I have multiple shows, and each show has its own calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And in Acuity, I couldn't figure out how to add multiple calendars and say, this adds to that calendar and this adds to that calendar.
Yeah, I never did
this
try
adds to
that.
Calendar.
That's a good point, because I don't have to pay for more
ZOHO
than one
had
account.
the same problem.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I went back to Schedule Once, and, you know, they're cheap, so it's not a big deal. But, yeah, they'll let you set up booking pages that all go to different calendars.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that's a kicker. And I have to set up like 10 of them for all the podcasts and everything else. So then I can use the ZOHO calendar thing, because it's already built into everything else, just for the stuff that involves just me, right? So if it's going on to Chuck's calendar, then, right, because that's the only calendar it has to deal with. And I have multiple things that go onto my calendar.
Yeah, does your VA have their own calendar, or you just have them share it? You just share the same access?
My VA doesn't really need her own calendar.
That's a good point. I mean, unless you have her, I wasn't sure if you started offloading some of that booking stuff so she could book that stuff onto your calendar for you or what. So
yeah, but
I'm always worried about that too. I like controlling my calendars.
If I need any of that, yeah, she has access. She can actually book stuff onto my calendar.
Cool.
But the other thing is that 95% of the stuff that people want to put on my calendar is something that I can set up a scheduling link for.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so it's not.
I was just
really
making notes to figure out today's show episode title, because we went from branded emails to CRMs, ZOHO versus Salesforce, to online scheduling.
Yeah.
Actually, the great thing is, in less than 30 minutes, we covered some very, very important things that you and I both had to figure out early on. Something as simple as having a very, I think, more professional image as a podcast show. I make it very easy for people once I send the link to schedule and book, and it's all it's all integrated into Zoom is integrated, so they get the Zoom link, right? My scheduling system, everything. So it's key.
Yeah. Well, that was the other issue with ZOHO Calendar, is that I couldn't set the link. I wasn't using Zoom or GoToMeeting or one of the 4 things they integrated with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, we use the same link every episode of the podcast.
That's a good point.
So why can't I just tell you they're all anyway?
Well, you see, mine, I had Zoom set to generate a unique link every time.
Yes.
Instead of my standard paid for link. But I did notice in the past year, Acuity now, when the calendar slot gets booked, it doesn't send the direct Zoom address in the location field anymore. Now in the notes on the calendar slots, it's sending an Acuity link. You click on that, and then on the screen, it'll give you your click through to the Zoom and everything else. I should look into that, because I don't like adding an extra step for my customer experience. I should see if I'm not sure if they had to do that because of the whole Zoom integration, or if that was just something extra they decided to put into their design. So
yeah, and I could tell you, so one of the other things that I've had to do, because none of the calendar deals handle this unless you want to add a user account for every person you're going to add to the appointment.
Right, I don't want to do that, yeah.
I don't want to do that because I have to pay for each seat, right? And so, and I have like 20-something hosts, and so that gets real expensive real fast. So I needed another way to add those in, and I've always done that with Zapier. And so I guess I'd have to put some way of having Zapier identify this is for this podcast and then add all the proper information. You might be able to get away with doing it in Zapier with a Zap.
I'll have to look at that then, because this is an old school thing I learned, back in the early 2000s when I was an analyst on a methods and procedures team for T-Mobile. After I left their call center world, I became a strategist, and I went from business coach to analyst. And the biggest thing was, how do you smooth out the processes? Not just externally to the customer base, but your internal customers, your employees, your process flows, reducing the clicks and the click-throughs and adding this step and that step. How do you streamline that process?
And I've got my people doing all kinds of stuff that I'm just like, there's got to be a way to automate this, right? Because there's other stuff. Like a lot of the stuff they do now, it's basically, if we don't do this, we don't keep running. But what I want them to be working on is, let's do this, 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 and this, so that we can get to the place we want to be at. And so,
well, and again, automation has its successes and some losses, right? As long as you get a seamless integration, automation's awesome. But is there a key step that maybe should have been in there? And if you're going to remove that, just make sure nothing important has been lost. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes a couple of steps are needed. But yes, big picture, anytime you can automate something and remove extra clicks or steps, the human brain loves it. The customer, the end user is going to love it. So whether that's an internal or an external person within an organization, especially from a customer basis. That's why you and I had last year on some of the podcast episodes, we had very interesting talks about the whole sales funnel world and all these flows. And I was like, I feel like these really, really long sales funnels that get built in click funnels and crap, they're like, pardon the way I'm going to say this, I feel like it's meant for the small-minded, because you get lost and you don't mind clicking and file the clickbait, and you just keep clicking through these annoying things. And I'm like, I would like to think that I'm attracting intelligent people to the show and to what we do. And I was like, I believe more in my listening. Well, so if you're going to build a click funnel, ladies and gentlemen, nothing against the process or the technology, don't give somebody 5 minutes straight of clicking and following or whatever. Like, try and make it short and to the point is how I look at it. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I've been following Russell Brunson and Steve Larson and a couple of other guys.
And I love what they've done,
that are way into that. And it seems like when they get into the meat and potatoes of funnels that work, they're usually pretty short. And it's usually, hey, I know enough about you to write a headline that's going to get you to click over here. And then I know enough about you, if you clicked it, to tell you that I have the solution to something you actually need.
Right.
And so then you click through, and then the sales funnel is, you may also need this. And, it may go another step beyond that, but that's it. Right.
And that's fine because you've already gotten them to the point and now you're just adding something on. And then, because if it's an add-on, you can just hit no. I agree with that 100%.
So that's usually what I'm seeing working. I've been going through Steve Larson's course on how to build offers and sales funnels and stuff. And he gets a whole lot more complicated, but his whole lot more complicated is, this is the messaging I'm putting out there into the world. And then the part that you're thinking of the sales funnel, that little piece, that's like right in the middle of it. And then here's how I follow up. Yeah. Right. And so he's got a whole system to it.
Sales 101 is the failure to follow up.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest deals that I've closed in my profession took me 3 years, 5 years of just relationship building. It wasn't the right. I tell people all the time, no, just means not right now. So a lot of people just focus on the numbers and I got to attract more people to my funnel. Or you need to get them on your email list, and you got to massage the relationship a little bit. They weren't ready to buy then, but then you built your reputation stronger, and they built some trust through regular email communication that you're sharing, education, knowledge, etc.
Right.
But then they find out you're building courses and stuff like you're doing. And that's like, oh, I like Chuck a lot more now. It's been about a year of content and education. And then all of a sudden you hit him with something from it's like, I'm ready now. I'm ready. Yeah. So again, no, in the sales world, which is really tied to life in general, just means, it didn't make sense at that point in time. Maybe it needed to be pitched differently. Maybe something else had to happen in my life to align that. So no just doesn't always mean no. It means just not right now.
Yeah.
So follow up, people. Follow up.
But that's the complicated view that I'm seeing anymore from the sales funnel experts is, hey, I did all this work up front so that I had, the people is kind of a follow up, except I don't have a direct line to them, right? No. I don't know that I'm pushing to Scott. No. But once you go to the sales funnel page and you buy something or enter your email address, then all the other follow up happens on the other end. Exactly. And so then and a lot of it's very targeted to what you came there for. And then from there, then I'm trying to get you into one of my continuity systems, whether it's me sending you direct emails because I think there's a potential for the kind of thing that I want to do with you, or get you on my email list or into a texting program or something like that, so that, you know, maybe something else will click later on, and then do kind of the personal touch every so often. And so they usually have a more generalized system that you eventually fall into if they can't get you to convert with those follow-up emails and some of the personal touch stuff.
I 100% agree. Well said.
So it's fascinating to just kind of look at it as a whole system there. The kind of,
well, that's part of it. I think a lot of small businesses or even larger businesses learning these necessary steps as they grow, especially if they're trying to build business in the online space, is learning that, like, okay, take some time, do things like you've done, right? Take the time to go through stuff like that, go through some courses, go through the content, and then play around with it. Try it out.
Yep.
Go through some funnels from other businesses on your own and just see if you liked it or didn't like it. And then again, one of the biggest things I learned over the years, and we all have to be reminded of this, is that there's still something else to learn tomorrow. There's still a better way to do something tomorrow. So you do have to take action today, put something in motion, but don't beat yourself up if you don't nail it the first time out of the gate.
Yeah.
Learn.
Yep.
Failure is not failure. Failure is a learning process. It's education. It gets you to the next necessary step to get you to success. So,
yep.
But that took me years to figure out too.
Yep. So,
well,
anyway,
cool,
so yeah.
Another hard-hitting, fast show. I think we're getting better at this. We did go over the 30 minutes, but I mean, it's not bad. It's like 10 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the newer listeners, like we used to do the standard format of the show is like over an hour. And it's like, he's got other things to do. I got other things to do.
Yeah.
And then we challenge ourselves to see, okay, what if we could release a show every month that we can pack fun things in that naturally flow within 30 minutes or so? We're getting there. I think this was actually got more content as far as, I think this is better than the last two episodes as far as, actionable content, I think. So,
yep.
Yeah. But that being said, again, ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Woods of topenddevs.com. Chuck, was there anything else you want to leave behind for the audience?
I guess the only other thing, just to tie two of the things together, is I didn't mention the brand of the CRM that screwed things up.
Do you want to now?
No, not really.
Okay.
I kind of want to give them another chance to redeem themselves, even though I'm going to move off of them anyway. But the thing that I want to point out is that what your brand is, in a lot of cases, like we talked about, the way you present yourself. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times part of your brand is, I tried to work with them and they were hard, right? And so if I came through and I said, hey, this is company X, and I named them outright and said, and their customer service has been terrible, and they actually have built their brand on being good salespeople and brand people, and they talk about this on their podcast, which they have, and how their customer service is part of your brand, right? It really just does not come across well that I've had so many issues with them.
They're not following through within their own actions based on what they're putting out to the world. Right. And there's a great lesson to kind of bring the show to a close, is the message you put out to the world. It's so crucial that you continue yourself, not just everybody in the organization, but the founding people, the people on the podcast, whatever. Dude, you have to back up your words. Yeah. And if you as a customer is coming back saying, you're not, I listened to your podcast, I follow all your content, I paid you money, and you're clearly not doing everything you claim that you're great at. So that is what that's called the CE. That's the customer experience. It's not C23 that we mentioned earlier in the show that nobody knows what it means. But CE, customer experience. Yeah. That comes back to customer service. That's what creates loyal, viral fans. Let your customers sell for you. But if you don't give a good experience, they're never going to sell for you. They're never going to do the word. I signed up
for their affiliate program, and I'm not going to use it.
And that's a shame. They're burning a bridge. So another great lesson, Chuck. Listen, stand by. Getting probably goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, another short format, hard-hitting episode with the man, the myth, the legend, Chuck Woods. We hit on branded emails, working with Gmail, CRMs. We got ZOHO, Salesforce, and the phantom application that we will not name. We got heck, Schedule Once versus Acuity, all these online scheduling software systems you can integrate into your other applications that he and I both thrive on. Heck, we even dropped in Zapier. I never did pronounce that thing. And then even things like ClickFunnels, we did a name drop. Steve Larson, I'll make sure that's linked in the show notes. He's got a decent following. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Technically, we hit on all three domains today because if you're a health business, you just learned something. If you're a traditional non-health business, you still learn something. And if you're a lifestyle business that's trying to build a personal brand online, health coaching, etc., you still learn something. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, you too could live the fuel. We'll talk to you guys again soon.
Bye.